Hello guys and welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna be talking about shadow work with you, and I'm gonna start by defining what is shadow work. So this is the act of getting enlightenment about one's dark side in order to implement self-acceptance and accountability. Now, you might ask yourself if you have a shadow self because you do good things and you strive for the best and you're always helping people and you only view the light or bright side of yourself. I want you to know today that you also have a shadow or dark side, and everybody in this world indeed and truly has a dark or shadow self, including myself. um, the important thing is not to judge that shadow self that you have, but to accept it and to acknowledge it and learn how to master it. Now, how does one end up with a shadow self? Everybody ends up with a shadow self because of traumatizing life experiences that led you to have some ways to survive and led you to act in um, the sense of a lack of knowledge. So obviously you tend to make mistakes when you're not thinking straight, or you're trying to survive, or you're going through so much trauma. And this is how you end up with ways to cope that are not healthy, but that are very toxic, whether it's the way to think or it's the way to soothe yourself. So, why is it important for you to do shadow work? It is important for you to do shadow work because you obviously want to stop suppressing those emotions or repressing them. You obviously want to feel free, and you no longer want to feel like there are any blockages that are stopping you from living your best life or from going for what you want, right? So, in the process of doing shadow work, you have to be open with yourself and to face all the fears that you have concerning being vulnerable with yourself and acknowledging or accepting that you do things wrong. During shadow work, you do this by going back to where everything started, which mostly has to do with your childhood. You realize that there are so many things that happened to you at a younger age that were not your fault, but were the fault of the guardians that you had that were mistreating you, whether they knew it or not. And then you grew a mindset that helped you to survive or to cope. And this brings up a lot of emotions that are negative and hard to feel, and you probably have tried to face those emotions or come to an understanding with whatever those emotions were, but you failed because you didn't like how you felt like. So instead you chose not to pay attention to that, but to just cover it up and continue moving on with life. And right now, you're coming to a point where you really want to make a change in your life, and especially when you're getting spiritual, you really want to do things better and save yourself from feeling the heaviness that comes with storing up those toxic emotions inside of you. So, I know it can be overwhelming when you want to feel free or set yourself free from these thoughts and memories and emotions. And I know it's easier said than done when it comes to shadow work, but I have a few tips that can help you. Now, what are the requirements for you to have a successful shadow work or to practice successful shadow work? First, you have to allow the underlying emotions to come to the surface. This is hard and it's challenging, and a lot of people find themselves going back and forth or pushing themselves too hard and wanting to get everything out of the way or get everything out so that they can be set free. But unfortunately, this is a whole process, and it can take months or even years for you to process some emotions and thoughts and process some experiences that you've gone through in order for you to fully understand that whose fault was it, and how can you cope moving forward, and so forth. So allowing yourself to really process all those underlying emotions and let them come to the surface will be beneficial to you, because you'll be able to sort it out or organize it, at least in order for you to know what steps you need to take, or what thing you need to deal with one at a time. I hope I'm making sense. And the other thing, I've already mentioned it in the first point, is you need to understand that this is a process and it may be a never-ending marathon, because when you're dealing with trauma, you get triggered all the time, and the same emotions can rise up over and over again, and you might find yourself asking why you can't get over whatever that you've gone through in the past. You just have to understand that it's not gonna take you a snap of a finger for everything to be okay. It's gonna be a process, and with the good amount of work, you'll get there. And the third point comes from something I mentioned a little bit in the second point, which is understanding your triggers and weaknesses. So when you're doing shadow work, you clearly know that you're not perfect. You have weaknesses that are making you feel stuck somewhere in your life. And those weaknesses are weakened even more whenever you have a trigger and whenever something is triggered in you. So understanding that you have weaknesses and triggers helps you to maneuver and to master yourself, so that whenever that trigger is triggered, you're able to still stay calm and understand that it's okay for you to feel those emotions and find a healthy outlet to let them out as soon as you can, so that you can move on with your life. Um, Another thing that you realize, that you need to understand when it comes to working with shadow work, is that it can be depressing sometimes, because you're dealing with so many heavy emotions that have been stored up in you for years or for lifetimes. And this can be very, very tough to deal with. And you have to understand that in the process of dealing with all those stored up emotions, you're going to feel something from your current reality. You're probably going to judge yourself, or to be upset with the world or the people around you, or your guardians, your loved ones. You're going to see things differently, and it's going to be overwhelming sometimes. You don't want to hurt people, you don't want to hurt yourself, so you feel stuck in your body and in your environment, and this can make you feel so depressed. But I just want you to know that things will be okay. You just have to take it one step at a time, and to know that life can be unfair sometimes, and not to blame yourself for everything. So now that I've shared with you what I my two sorry so now that I've shared with you my 2 cents on shadow work, how can you cope during this whole process? First, you have to understand that you made mistakes, and it's okay. You have to forgive yourself and the people that wronged you. Second, you have to understand that since this is an ongoing process, you have to be patient with yourself and to take extra care of yourself. So that's what I have for you in this video. I hope it helps you to understand what shadow work is and how to work through it, so that you can feel better and understand and get help or resolution in your spiritual or life journey. Thank you for watching this video. I know it was just snappy and fast, but I wanted to get straight to the point and help you to understand everything. If you want me to do another shadow work video that goes in depth, just comment down below and I'll do just that.